Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole flock of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Mosai, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahahi, not Allah, not Awa, not Yahuwah, not Hashem, not Yahweh, Haveh, Vaveh. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah, not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua, not Yahusha, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos. It's Yahweh Shah. So got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rikah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all that can believe in this truth and pushing this truth with the four winds of the earth. The entire word shedding light to the whole elect. Shalom to the whole wealth who are listening learning. If you sis who are listening learning. I'm Isaiah from GMS Atlanta, Camp Prophet of Doom, coming in on a lesson of truth, fact, faith, and edification, of data edification, Lord willing, this be edifying. And I titled this lesson, The Breakup of Babylon's Alliance. And this is first copyright disclaimer to Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, personal use tips to balance and favor fair use. This is for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain. I do not own the copyright to this video. This is for educational purposes only. Lord willing, it be edifying. So, this is video I was listening to this guy, Chris Hedges. So let me pull this up. And him and Richard Wolf be going basically on the same things. Hey, and this guy, I don't know if he's the foreign minister or the president.
Are already.
He's either I forget what it was. He's either the foreign minister or the president or the president of Greece. I'm finna start this back because they really going in on Babylon, man.
Because yields.
So let me run this back from the tip. And Lord willing, be edifying. Let me turn this volume down. This is fire. When I say this here is fire, it's fire.
The longer the war with Iran continues, the more the global economy is thrown into crisis. The Iranians have bottled up the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's energy supply is transited. 40% of the oil China imports passes through the strait. Crude oil is now over $100 per barrel, a 45% increase since the war began and climbing. Gasoline prices in the U.S. have jumped by more than 65 cents per gallon. Jet fuel and diesel have surged by 25%. In parts of Asia, including Thailand, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, there are already shortages and long lines at gas stations. Government offices in the Philippines have moved to a 4-day work week. Myanmar's government has imposed alternating driving days. Japan, which depends on the Middle East for 90% of its oil supply, is releasing a record 80 million barrels of oil, about 45 days of supply. India, although permitted by the Trump administration to buy previously sanctioned Russian oil, will be especially hard hit. It is already suffering from a severe shortage of liquefied natural gas. About 84% of the crude oil and 83% of the liquefied natural gas that passes through the strait goes to Asia. nitrogen fertilizer, which cost between $460 to $480 per short ton before the war began, has jumped to $520 to $620. This means massive increases in food prices. And once strategic reserves of stockpiles of oil are depleted, oil could easily jump to $200 to $300 a barrel, triggering crippling inflation and a global depression. Global economies will at this point go into free fall, unleashing widespread civil unrest. Adding to this crisis is that two nuclear powers are prosecuting the war: the United States with some 5,000 nuclear warheads and Israel with some 300 nuclear warheads. Israel, for the first time in its history, is suffering serious destruction from Iranian missiles and drones, the extent of which is not public because of...
Hey, when I saw this right here, real quick, saw the missiles going up, coming out of the silos, right? Revelations 9. I want to read this real quick. Revelation 9 and 16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and then there sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, which is the warheads, and out of their mouths issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. By these three were the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issue out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth, the warheads, and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. So these look like snakes going up, man. Now listen to what he said. These two powers, right?
triggering crippling inflation and a global depression. Global economies will at this point go into free fall, unleashing widespread civil unrest. Adding to this crisis is that two nuclear powers are prosecuting the war: the United States with some 5,000 nuclear warheads and Israel with some 300 nuclear warheads. Israel, for the first time in its history, is suffering serious destruction from Iranian missiles and drones, the extent of which is not public because of heavy censorship. Israel, especially if the U.S. decides to cut its losses and withdraw from the war, could see the government of Benjamin Netanyahu deploy a nuclear device and potentially a global conflagration. Joining me to discuss the consequences of the war on Iran economically, politically, and militarily is Yanis Varoufakis, the Secretary General of the Democracy in Europe Movement 2025 and a former Minister of Finance for Greece. I want to begin, Yanis, with the consequences of economic dislocation in terms of societal unrest, political unrest. I think back to my coverage of the war in the former Yugoslavia that was precipitated by an economic meltdown and hyperinflation, which I believe contributed to the vomiting up of these Trump-like figures, Radovan Karadzic, etc. But this...
And NATO bombed Yugoslavia. That was one of the places they bombed, along with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and Bosnia and Yugoslavia.
Economic dislocation has always, throughout history, consequences that extend far beyond, economic punishment. And I just wondered if you can talk about that.
Sure, you are referring to the unintended consequences of a very stupid war into which Donald Trump has been trapped by Benjamin Netanyahu. Because, Chris, up until now, I think that Trump was winning everything. He won the trade war, the tariff war with the Europeans. He was very successful in weaponizing big tech and cryptocurrencies with the Genius Act. From his perspective, he was winning. And this is this ridiculous campaign in which he has been sucked into for reasons which I don't think we will know until quite a few years pass. This is going to have long-running, long-standing effects, long-term effects. Chris, I was reading in the Wall Street Journal, in the Financial Times, some wishful thinking articles in which the comparison was being made between what's happening now in Iran and Liberation Day last year. Remember when there was a spasm in the markets got panicky and jittery after the announcement of the huge tariffs that effectively suspended world trade for a week or so. And so the Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal, wishful thinking goes along the lines of, well, it didn't turn out that bad. Within a month or two or three, markets were back. The economy shook off all concerns about recession. And, well, maybe if this ends soon in the next few weeks, then we will again be able to proclaim in a couple of months that it was a silly thing that had happened, but, world capitalism, US-based capitalism, dollarized capitalism, proved resilient. Well, I don't think that this is possible, not only because this war is not going to end very quickly. I don't think. None of us has a crystal ball, but I think that Donald Trump has been well and truly caught in this trap that Netanyahu has set up for him. But the main point I want to make is that there is a world of difference between what happened last year with the tariffs and Liberation Day and now. And allow me to make the point about why it was that Liberation Day tariffs proved to be transient in terms of their effects, and why this one is not going to be transient for more or less the same reasons. So last year, when Trump came in with his gigantic tariffs, especially against the Chinese and so on, firstly, it was clear within a few weeks that demand in the United States for foreign exports was elastic enough so that much of the burden did not fall on American consumers, but it fell on importers. The second and very important, crucial reason why, in the end, Trump didn't suffer from Liberation Day is because at the same time as there was a recessionary wave, there was another wave in the opposite direction, a gigantic investment spree by big tech on AI. And that lifted the markets in a way that satisfied the Donald. The third reason is that tariffs actually worked from his perspective. Those tariffs managed to crowd into the United States substantial capital inflows. So I know lots of German companies that relocated to the United States, like BASF and Mercedes-Benz and so on. Japanese companies investing, Taiwanese companies investing. And the fourth important reason why Liberation Day did not have long-lasting effects was that the central banks around the world, not just the Fed, were in the process of cutting interest rates, of loosening monetary policy. Now, compare and contrast with what's going on now. Firstly, demand in the United States is not elastic to increases in gas prices. The vast majority of the very people, the blue-collar workers that voted Trump in, are suffering exorbitant increases in their transport costs. Let's not forget that the average MAGA supporter, voter, travels 100 miles a day in very thirsty SUVs, cars, and that goes straight into, the increase in the gas price goes straight into their family budget. The second one, remember, the AI investment spree that saved Donald's bacon last year. Well, AI is extremely energy intense. It's very hungry for electricity. So the investment spree that we witnessed over the last 12 months is probably going to peter out, because already there were qualms about the logic of that investment that was going so heavily into AI. But now that AI is becoming so expensive to run and to train and all that, that is going to reduce very substantially the countervailing effects of more investment in AI. And beyond that, central banks are.
So before you go on, this is all about Esau's technocracy. That's what this is about. As the apostles and elders been saying about the greater Israel project. This is all about technocracy, man. Governing everything, just like the scripture talks about Asia making itself like in Babylon, which all of Asia, everybody has adapted to Babylon, the great system, perfecting it before it come here. So this is all about that, man. That's why you got these damn data centers everywhere. And everybody know this is about what's that Klaus Schwab said? What's this called? Carbon footprint. You will own nothing and love it. Tracking your food from the soil to the fork. Well, it ain't coming from the soil no more. It's coming out of the damn lab. But anyway.
Already, because yields in 10-year bonds are rising, central banks either are going to increase now interest rates, or they're not going to reduce them according to the timeline that they had set out for themselves, and which financial markets had already factored in. And lastly, last year,
the timeline where they have set out for themselves. Esau running out of time, man. So this is them forwarding their enterprise in a little bit of time they got.
This time, unemployment was not increasing. In the last 2 or 3 months, unemployment, both in the United States and in the United Kingdom, and I very much fear also in the European Union, are on the way up. So if you take all these factors together, you'll see why I'm coming to the conclusion that this war, this inane war by Donald Trump, is even within the United States, not looking at Bangladesh or Japan as you were, very accurately portraying those economies as being in dire straits. The United States economy itself, which is what really matters to Donald Trump, the European economy, the British economy, the West in general, is entering a serious vortex of pain.
The Iranians have made clear and they're well aware of their ability to inflict this kind of pain, but they have made clear that this conflict is not going to end for some time until that pain is felt. And I think it's important to note that the Iranians have realized that this is an existential struggle. Both last June and now, when Israel and the United States attacked Iran, they were in the midst of negotiations. So the Iranians can hardly trust another negotiating team. Where do you see, or what do you see as the weeks progress? We've already seen, especially in the global South or in countries, some of the countries I mentioned, even Japan, that this is already a crisis. Paint for us a picture, a few weeks from now, a few months from now, how dire this can become and what the consequences are.
Without wanting to, cause panic amongst our viewers, this is really serious because, as you mentioned, Japan takes 90% of its energy of its oil and natural gas from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, from the Gulf. The Japanese economy is a significant cog in the international Western machine, and when you look at what's happening, particularly in Bangladesh, already in Bangladesh, the textile industry is on a go slow, simply because they are fearful that their gas supply and therefore their electricity production is going to come crashing to a halt as a result of production generation on the Gulf. So the snowballing effect is really what matters. It's not so much the primary effects, it's the secondary and tertiary effects. And those are going to continue even if, as I said before, the Straits of Hormuz open tomorrow, because it takes a long time for these supply chains, as we found out during the pandemic, to be started again. And we are in a macroeconomic recessionary kind of trajectory, then in conjunction with the fact that, as you said, the Iranians are not about to agree with Donald Trump, even if Donald Trump wants an agreement with them, even if he wants to end the bombing now, simply because, they've been taken to the cleaners a number of times. And it's not just recent. You'll recall that in 2015, there was...
Hey, he had me cracking up last night. You heard what he just said? He took him to the cleaners a few times. Hold on. That was funny. Running back.
Are not about to agree with Donald Trump, even if Donald Trump wants an agreement with them, even if he wants to end the bombing now, simply because, they've been taken to the cleaners a number of times. And it's not just recent. You'll recall that in 2015, there was an agreement with the White House, back then with Barack Obama. I remember when I visited the White House in April 2015, and I had a meeting with him, I was only interested in talking about Greece, as you can imagine at the time, because we were in the doldrums. And he didn't want to talk about Greece. He didn't talk about Europe. He said the only thing he wanted to talk about was Iran, and how he was keen to see Iran being reintegrated into the world financial circuits. And he did go through with that agreement. The Iranians were very happy, the Europeans were very happy, and then Donald Trump gets elected and tears up that agreement. So, the Iranians have had a good 10, 11 years to contemplate what it is that they can get out of a peace deal, an agreement, a deal, any kind of deal with the United States. And the answer to that is not much. The West is simply not reliable. They're not reliable during negotiations. Don't forget that the bombing of Iran now started while negotiations were taking place, with Oman playing the role of go-between. And they can't trust the West. They can't trust, especially Washington, even after a deal has been concluded. So they're not going to do any favors to Japan, to Canada, to Australia, to Britain, to Germany, to France, let alone to the United States. That is all those powers which, despite their declarations of wanting to become autonomous and sovereign from the United States, nevertheless, they make their military bases available to the United States bombers, which from there bomb the smithereens out of Iran, kill school children in their territory. So let's brace ourselves for a major tsunami that's going to hit us. It's already been hitting us, without any prospect that it will subside anytime soon.
Well, of course.
And in Jeremiah 51, read this real quick. This is Jeremiah 51. In verse 30, it reads, "The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might have failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken." And we are watching Iran destroy America's bars, which is the military bases. See right here on the side, it say Iran war. Pentagon seeks $200 billion in funding. Why? Because, like it just said, verse 30, their might have failed. Their might is failing, man. Their bars are broken. The military, is getting shut down, man. And NATO said they ain't helping.
The worst effects will be felt in the global south, in countries such as Japan that don't produce oil themselves. It's a huge benefit to Russia, of course. Trump couldn't lift the sanctions fast enough because of all of the problems that are already occurring within the supply chain in India. And Europe. Europe is going to pay for this. By the Trump administration to get European allies to provide ships on a kind of suicide run up and down the strait after essentially dismissing and even insulting these allies. Just another example of the crumbling edifice of the American empire. I mean, the United States suffer direct pain, or at least in the short term, although as the global economy, you know far more than I do, so I'll let you talk about this, but as the global economy unravels, then go back to the economy. But let's talk.
So this say, this is from Newsbreak. It say Saudi Arabia threatens to attack Iran as U.S. launches strikes to reopen Strait of Hormuz. Man, ain't none of this shit gonna work, man.
Talk about the different tiers of that will be affected, starting with the global South.
It is heavy because how the Lord put the title on Gog, right? So as Babylon the Great is poking the bear, which is Russia, so now they fucking with a wild boar, which is Iran. What the scripture tell you about wild boars? These devils, the Lord cold, man. That they fucking with the bear and a wild boar. Hell of a combination.
Looking at Europe and then maybe the United States.
Well, let me start with the United States, if I may, because I was struck by what Trump said. He said quite correctly that the United States is a net exporter of energy after the fracking revolution, and therefore he said, well, when the price of energy goes up, of oil goes up, of gas goes up, we Americans make more money. Now that just goes to show a complete lack of understanding, which of course, Trump shares it with most of the United States. There are many United States. There are the working class Americans, there are the middle class Americans, there are the financiers, there are the realtors. Now, there's no doubt that if the United States were a communist country and every American citizen was a shareholder in USA, then of course Trump's argument would hold. But they're not. It is the oil companies that are making, last time I looked, they've already made something like 80 billion from the increase in the price of oil. But if you are a MAGA, blue-collar worker who has to drive that guzzles gas, then you're done. You can't make ends meet. So you don't have to go to Bangladesh to see who's going to suffer. The working wars, actual wars, lethal wars, they're all class wars in the end. So it's not who is going to benefit the United States or Germany or Japan or Russia. The working classes are going to lose out everywhere. And maybe the working class in Missouri and Mississippi is going to lose even more than the working class in Bangladesh, because let's not forget that countries like Bangladesh have a very strong social networks. They have family units and they have village units. The dislocation of the working class, of the nomadic working class of your country, Chris. But I'm going to do as I'm told, and I'm going to talk about Japan and the European Union and the global.
So that was the point I want to make on that. Let me get this other clip here. Bear with me. There was another. Let me pull this up because what is these shits called? uh, news conference, I guess you would call it. Talking about, so they both saying, let me pull these up, bear with me. Trump and Netanyahu saying nobody drug nobody in. Everybody saying that it was BB McCalsey that drawed in America, but then Trump saying he did it on his own. So let me show this real quick. Yeah, I just got a couple precepts. This here. And I got one more to play after this. As a matter of fact, let me pull it up real quick. Let me drop this. Bear with me. And pull both of these up. Got one more here I want to show. I ain't gonna play all of it, just some of it. All right. So let's play this one here.
We move forward to the war with Iran. Today, Israel's prime minister addressing claims that Israel dragged the United States into this war.
I want to close these opening remarks.
We know this is true. CSA Trump halts Israeli strike on Iranian gas fields, says U.S. act independently amid gas price surge. See? Hold on. No, this prophecy, man. Jeremiah 49:20, Jeremiah 50:45.
Forward to the war with Iran. Today, Israel's prime minister addressing claims that Israel dragged the United States into this war.
I want to close these opening remarks with one other fake news, and that is that Israel somehow dragged the U.S. into a conflict with Iran. Does anyone really think that someone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on.
Oh, man. Come on.
President Trump always makes his decisions on what he thinks is good for America.
Both the United States and Israel have sent airstrikes over Iran, as we know. Today, President Trump said he took...
Hold on. Let's run that back, man. I don't know why it's buffering. Should be class house right now.
Forward to the war with Iran. Today, Israel's prime minister addressing claims that Israel dragged the United States into this war.
I want to close these opening remarks with one other fake news, and that is that Israel somehow dragged the U.S. into a conflict with Iran. Does anyone really think that someone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on. President Trump always makes his decisions on what he thinks is good for America.
Both the United States and Israel have sent airstrikes over Iran, as we know. Today, President Trump said he took issue with one maneuver. He says he told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to strike Iran's southern Pars oil field. That attack sparked a natural gas terminal. President Trump had this to say.
We're independent. We get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
Who did confirm that they attacked alone in that strike, and he said Israel's military is now holding off on additional attacks against the key Iranian gas field. Meanwhile, gas prices, fuel, continues to rise, of course. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth today says that he intends to ask Congress for more money for the war with Iran.
All right. Let me drop that. I got one more here on the play from Democracy Now! Just a little bit of it. Ain't gonna play too much of it. And then I just got called pre-sale. Nigga talking about, nigga, y'all did draw Babylon the Great in. It's according to prophecy. It's prophecy, man. See, these devils don't know what's going on. So this one here, it's titled "Ground Invasions of Iran Could Be Suicide Mission for U.S. Ex-Army Intelligence Analysts." So check this out.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. As we continue our look at the U.S. and Israeli war on Iran, numerous nations have rejected a request from President Trump to send warships to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has largely shut down the critical waterway. About 20% of the world's oil exports flows through the strait. On Monday, Germany's defense minister said, "This is not our war." President Trump criticized allies who are...
Because my attitude is, we don't need anybody far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react.
Meanwhile, Trump continued plans. On Friday, he was interviewed by Brian Kilmeade on Fox News.
My bones.
In my bones. This all comes as the U.S. is sending 2,500 Marines and an amphibious assault ship to the Middle East. We go now to Harrison Mann, former U.S. Army major who resigned in 2024 from the DIA. That's the Defense Intelligence
I gotta
Agency.
run that back. I don't like when it's buffering. I don't like that shit. Hold on. Salakia. Let's run this back, man.
democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. As we continue our look at the U.S. and Israeli war on Iran, numerous nations have rejected a request from President Trump to send warships to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
The water too, Malachi, the fire precept I want to read. That go right with this. That's fire, bro.
Iran has largely shut down the critical waterway. About 20% of the world's oil exports flows through the strait. On Monday, Germany's defense minister said, "This is not our war." President Trump criticized allies who are refusing to help.
This is beautiful.
I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is, we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react.
Meanwhile, Trump continues to give mixed messages on his war plans. On Friday, he was interviewed by Brian Kilmeade on Fox News.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it.
Okay.
I feel it in my bones.
When I feel it in my bones. This all comes as the U.S. is sending 2,500 Marines and an amphibious assault ship to the Middle East. We go now to Harrison Mann, former U.S. Army major who resigned in 2024 from the DIA, that's the Defense Intelligence Agency, over the Biden administration's policy in Gaza. He's now a senior fellow at Win Without War, a network of activists and groups working for a more peaceful, progressive U.S. foreign policy. His most recent piece for Zeteo is headlined, "I was a U.S. intelligence analyst. Here's what a ground invasion of Iran could look like." Harrison Mann, welcome to Democracy Now! Tell us what that ground invasion can look like as the U.S. is bringing thousands more U.S. troops to the Gulf region.
Now look, before we let this play, look at this. Pentagon asked Congress for $2 billion as more troops deployed to the Middle East. Man. Hey, they going right to the gulag.
Thank you. So for context here, I think really from day 2 of this war, the Trump administration has not known what to do and how to get out of this. So there's really little left to try other than a ground invasion. The other context I want to add is that from the Israeli side, as your last guest, Trita, mentioned, a long war that aims to collapse the Iranian state is good for them. So with that in mind, there's a couple options that Trump administration officials themselves have floated in the press. One is doing a landing on something called Kharg Island, which handles 90% of Iran's oil exports and is located deep in the Persian Gulf past the Strait of Hormuz. Another option also floated by Trump officials themselves is some kind of raid on Iranian nuclear sites to try and secure or sabotage Iran's highly enriched uranium. To talk about the Marines you mentioned, I think it's really important to note, we've seen this Marine Expeditionary Unit described as 5,000 troops, or you said 2,500 Marines. There's 5,000 sailors and Marines aboard these ships altogether. There's only about 1,200 actual ground troops, which is a relatively small number if you're talking about invading a country, even if it's just using a small island. So I want us to keep that in mind. I think the target that seems to have risen to the top of Trump's list, we saw him and Lindsey Graham tweeting about it over the weekend, is Kharg Island. Again, it's a piece of critical oil infrastructure. The idea is that if you can capture it, you will basically get to hold 90% of Iran's oil exports hostage. The issue with this is that you have to sail. If you're going by ship, you have to make it through the Strait of Hormuz, which the U.S. Navy currently determines is too dangerous for it to go through. Or if you fly in, you're still landing on an island that's just about 15 miles off the coast of Iran. So frankly, I think any attempt to seize this island would be close to a suicide mission. I hate to say it, with U.S. troops within range, not just of the drones and missiles that Iran has targeted the whole Gulf and Israel with, but also shorter range weapons that they haven't had the opportunity to use yet. Artillery, rockets, short range drones. And it's really easy to imagine how if you drop troops on that island, they could really end up being trapped there, which would really play into the hands of the Iranian government. And I think a U.S. mass casualty event or even a de facto hostage situation would be much more valuable to Iran's surviving leaders than the oil terminal that the operation would purportedly capture.
And Harrison, man, what about the logistics nightmare? Even if they were able to land troops, which I'm sure they would be able to, the logistics nightmare of protecting and supplying any force like that so deep into the Persian Gulf and so close to Iran.
Yeah, again, I think resupply or even insertion or evacuation by sea is extremely dangerous for all the weapons I mentioned. Plus, Iran, as has been discussed in the news, can mine these waters, both around the island and in the Strait of Hormuz. They have drone boats in addition to aerial drone. If you want to try and do resupply or reinforcement by air, that might be possible, but it's possible to ambush aircraft as well. We saw the Houthis do it in the campaigns in the Red Sea over the past 2 years. So even aerial resupply or insertion would be quite fraught. And it's a real risk that you have U.S. troops trapped under fire and running out of supplies on this island. And I want to mention, this really applies to anywhere that you put U.S. troops on Iranian soil. Some figures on Fox News have also discussed trying to land troops near the Strait of Hormuz to clear out anti-ship missiles there to make it safe for oil tankers and shipping to go through. I mean, that really gives you the exact same risk of troops trapped in Iran, where it's extremely difficult to resupply or just get them out of there.
Hey, listen. The scriptures say, let me play this guy again. Trump, arrogant ass. Let me play that one more time. Where is it? Play it one more time. Hey, man. Esau, he's not no wild man like Ishmael and Elon, man. The scriptures say they're going to remember their nature. Elon, the Carmenians. It said the dragons of Arabia are going to remember that. It said the dragons should remember their nature. Esau's nature is not a killer. He controlled the sword. He ain't wild like damn Ishmael and Elam, man. He just got that sword. The scripture tell you the omen nomen for these Ishmael and Elam, that's a different omen nomen than for the so-called white man. Let me play this again.
To help.
I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react.
Lying devil.
Meanwhile, Trump continues to give mixed messages on his war plans. On Friday, he was interviewed by Brian Kilmeade on Fox News.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it.
Okay.
I feel it in my bones.
When I
Hold on, I want to play this part one more time. Select you.
This is not our war. President Trump criticized allies who are refusing to help.
See, criticizing allies that refuse to help. This is him. His look is more stout than his neighbors in Daniel 7:20. But it tell you in Psalms 10 and 5 that he puffed at his enemies, man.
I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody.
Right there.
We're the strongest nation in the world.
That's what I want. So I'm finna leave right there. This is GMS Jacob will prevail. Nahum 3:11. Thou also shall be drunken, thou shall be hid, thou also shall seek strength. Why? Because of the enemy, Babylon the Great, looking for strength, man. And the allies said, we ain't giving you shit. All thy strongholds shall be like fig trees with the first ripe figs. And we see in their strongholds, their military bases. If they be shaken, they shall even fall into the mouth of the eater. Man. And we watching it happen. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thy enemies. Because once America's armies draw to Asia, it's over, man. To the land barren and desolate. Once the military of America's army, Joel 2:20, be drawn to the Jehoshaphat, then America's gonna be left open, man. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates. Hey, that's crazy. Hey, when most of the men, if they do a draft, most of the men is gonna be gone. So, and guess if all the so-called men get drawn out to the army, right, the military, whether you Marine, Navy, Coast Guard, it say, behold, our people in the midst of thee are women. What's gonna be left here if they're doing a draft between 18 and 26, 25, whatever? Ain't gonna be left here number women. And then those that ain't women, they are women. Skinny jean wearing ass, fruit booty, slow belly, effeminate, emotional, rainbow sliders, man. So ain't gonna be left because the energy of women is everywhere on these so-called young men and even the grown men. So the gates of thy land should be set wide open unto thy enemies. The fire shall devour thy bars. Man, they don't got no military defense system to guard America while they removing all the troops from here. Man, this is fire, bro. The water for that precept. Fire. And I was finna get on. Because what he just said just now, right? This is Isaiah 10 and 12. It reads, wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Lord hath performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria, which is the so-called white man. America, Babylon the Great, first and foremost, and the glory of his high looks. For he said, this is what Trump said, by the strength of my hand, I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent. and I have removed the bounds of the people and have robbed their treasures. This is Edomite overall, but this is Trump talking big shit too. And I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. And my hand have found as in this the riches of the people. And this is the elites speaking like this. And as one gathers eggs that are left, I have gathered all the earth. This what happened with the beginning of rulership, which is with Alexander the Greek, Alexander the Freak. And there was none that moved the wing or opened mouth or peeped. So then the Lord say, shall the axe boast itself against him that heweth therewith? Or shall the saw magnify himself against it that shaketh it? As if the rod should shake itself against them that lift it up. Or as if the staff should lift up itself as if it were no wood. So here it is. These Edomites is boasting that they doing this. No. Proverbs 21:1. Everything that's happening is going according to according to plan. Proverbs 21:1, it reads, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Every will of man is right in his own eyes, but Yahweh pondereth the hearts. It say, verse 4, and high look, and a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin. Yeah, it is that high look, man. And the Lord said he's going to bring that down real soon. Let me read this. This is Proverbs 16:1. The preparation of the heart in man and the ounce of the tongue is from Yahweh. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahweh weigheth the spirits. So while he boasting, talking trash, everything is going according to plan, man. The Lord is stirring up Isaiah 42:13. Man, I love this precept. It reads, Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yell, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. So he watching the Lord stir up these kings of the earth, man. And everybody is finna stir themselves against America, Babylon the Great. Because all the bloodshed that done happened here, man, is Isaiah 2. Going to that high look, right? Isaiah 2:11. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. I want to get this in Isaiah 57. Hey, because I was thinking about a lesson, right? We about to get released from prison, man. The whole select is about to get released from prison, and Jake ain't taking none of this. We ain't want to take none of this shit, man. The only one that want to take some shit when he get out of prison is a nigga that nigga is still institutionalized. He don't wind up going back. Hey, we about to get released from prison, man. Because as Big Brother Nahoy always say, the Lord made the world our prison, but America is maximum security. We about to get released, man. We got a release date. Hey, we got a release date. Hey, you know, I done been there. When you get released from prison or jail, guess what? When you get released, it's always a nigga coming in. Every time. It's a revolving door. Hey, we about to get released, and the so-called white man about to go in. He about to get locked up, man. Isaiah 57:15, dealing with those lofty looks. The point I was finna make is, hey, the Lord's son is here to be humbled, man. To be humble completely. 100% completely humbled. Each and every one of the whole elect will be completely humbled before your ass will get released from prison. Isaiah 57:15, for thus saith the high and lofty one, that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. For I will not contend forever, neither will I always be wroth, for the spirit shall fail before me, and the souls which I have made. For the iniquity of his covetousness was I wroth and smite him. I hid me and was wroth, and he went on forwardly in the way of his heart. I have seen his ways and will heal him. I will lead him also and restore comforts unto him and to his mourners. He said he's going to send comfort. He's going to restore comfort, right? When you go to, there was something about doing a lesson on which I may still do it. When you go to Ezekiel 14 and 22, it reads, Yet behold, there shall be in left, therein shall be left a remnant that shall be brought forth, both sons and daughters. Behold, they shall come forth unto you, and you shall see their ways and their doings, and you shall be comforted concerning the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem, which is judgment, even concerning all that I have brought upon it. And they shall comfort you when you shall see their ways and their doings, and ye shall know that I have not done without cause all that I have done in it, saith Yahweh by Shema Shah. So, man, so as the Lord is going to completely, or has at this point, has completely humbled the remnant, he finna completely humble the so-called white man. Look at this. Isaiah 24 in verse 21, it reads, And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. The Lord finna humble. Hey, we have been completely humbled as men. The Lord will remove the draws from brothers, that emotionally feminine, feeble, frail, beta simp ass male spirit. That shit is gone. Ain't nothing here but a hard piece of ice or a rock. A hard rock doing the same thing to the hopeful women, man. The Lord's moving all that. Now all this shit finna fall on the heathens and the 2/3, man. The Lord has completely humbled the remnant, which is beautiful. Now he's finna completely humble as the Lord finna raise up. What it said in Ezekiel 25, he's gonna have to put his spirit on his men, right? The Lord finna do the same thing to these heathens and get them their humble. They're gonna be, hey, all these Edomites, all you heathens and you 2/3, especially 2/3 women, the Lord finna humble your asses. Hey, and that's why it's beautiful. That verse, that Nahum, it says it's gonna be number. Let's go back and read this again. Ain't gonna be left here in America number women, man. It's Nahum 3 and 13 from the brother Malachi in the camp. GMS Jacob will prevail, and this is his other channel here at Malachi 144. Bah, behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open once the American military be removed. Unto thy enemies, the fire shall devour thy bars. See what's gonna be left here once they remove all the draft. Thy people in the midst of thee are women. So ain't gonna be left none here in America but women and fruit booty, slow belly, simp ass men, skinny jean wearing niggas, booty short wearing ass men. You got men downtown on Friday and Saturday wearing fucking booty shorts. So ain't gonna be enough here. Ain't gonna be nothing left here in Babylon the Great, but women, man. The women and that spirit of the women that's on the men, man. Anyway, I'm gonna play this one more time and I'm gone, man. Cause I got another lesson I want to do. Hey, this nigga Trump, man. This is an arrogant ass nigga, man. Let's play this again. This nigga here is arrogant, boy.
Defense minister said, "This is not our war." President Trump criticized allies who are refusing.
Hey, they
help.
saying this ain't their war, but the Lord is drawing everybody into this. You're gonna have to come to it. That's what the scripture talks about, man. Prophecy is, especially when you read Revelations 20. It said he was loosed out of his prison to go out to the sea of the nations, right? And God, man, to draw them to the battle, of whom the numbers is at the center of the sea, man. Joel 3 and 9. You ain't got military. You ain't getting intercontinental ballistic missiles for nothing. The Lord ain't putting a spirit on these other nations to pass around these missiles and help. Then you got the Islamic NATO forming up. Then the article I did the other week said it ain't gonna work. Well, according to 2 Ezra 15, it is gonna work. The dragons of Arabia with the Carmenians. That's the Islamic NATO, the Shia and the Sunnis coming together, man, to remove Esau ass out the way. These prophecies are happening. And like the one of the titles the brother got for our lesson today, judgment is the only thing left for Babylon the Great, man. And for 2/3, for the world, period. Only thing left is judgment, man. I think we're gonna run with that for the title tonight. Judgment is the only thing left. That's all that's left. Hey, Jake as and the Lord say you hate a poor man that's proud. Jake as proud. These niggas is worse than the so-called white man. I'm talking about the men. This nigga here.
I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody.
Hey, well, hey, Obadiah 1:7. You don't need nobody. Obadiah. This nigga here, boy. Trump is a motherfucker. Obadiah 1:7. All the men like Confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. This guy just talking trash, man.
We're the strongest nation in the world.
You used to be. Hey, now, Joel 3:9, everybody got weapons of war, man. America, Babylon the Great, as Nahaya Big Brother always say, it's the so-called white man, the reason everybody got to have weaponry. A prophecy is, one way or another, the Lord was going to make sure they got it. But it's Babylon the Great, man. Going to everybody's country, taking resources and shit. Then this nigga did the video the other day. Nigga talking about he got a problem with Africa. They don't want to give up their precious minerals. Man, you think these Africans finna let you go over there? Man, shit. Listen, man. Libya is in Ezekiel 38, man. Libya is in Africa, man. You ain't finna go over there and do nothing. But this is the pride of Esau's heart, man.
We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But
you heard this nigga just said, I did a lesson some years ago. Russia got way more missiles than America, man. I think it was like somewhere between 25 and 3,500 more missiles than America, man. And that was a lesson I did 5-6 years ago. This is that bullshit right here.
It's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react.
Man, stop that shit.
Meanwhile, Trump continues to give mixed messages on his war plans. On Friday, he was interviewed by Brian Kilmeade on Fox News.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it.
Okay.
I feel it in my bones.
When I feel it in my bones. This all comes as the U.S. is sending 2,500 Marines and an amphibious assault ship to the Middle East. We go now to Harrison Mann, former U.S. Army major who...
Man, this guy, man. Anyway, Lord was edifying. We give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rikah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishop, and elders of great millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, ready to accept and not. And a sincere salutation to all that I can believe in this truth and pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, shedding light to the whole elect. Shalom to the Akbar who are listening, learning. If you sis will listen, learning. Let's read this. It's at Saints Azan Amath. Hey, Shalom, Yabba Shema Shah Brakathum. To you, beautiful Akim, you beloved Akim and Akwaf. This is Matthew 23:12. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. Yeah, we going back to the top. Esau going back to the bottom. This is Bayan Yashiala. Psalms 10:4. I just quoted 5 earlier. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, would not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. When you read this in translation, say they seem to think God is dead. Psalm 10:5. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. And because he think the Lord ain't, he think it's just him. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. What he said, we don't need none of them. You heard this nigga say it? Let me play this again, man. That nigga said, we don't need none of them.
Defense minister said, this is not our war. President Trump criticized allies who are refusing to help.
I don't do a hard sell on them because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react.
See, hey, man. Hey, till next time I say shalom, wa blah, blah.